Hello and welcome to the Naik YouTube channel. I'm Adrian and today we are talking about the checklist that you must run through before pressing record when filming a video. So the first thing to check is your camera stable and is it level? This is one thing that it's very easy to get wrong, and when you're looking at it in the edit, you are going to be furious with yourself because it's very simple to just get your tripod level and make sure that your horizons are level and that your footage is not crooked, or squonk, as we say in Zimbabwe. Squonk is a great word for it, it's perfect, it describes it so well. Number two, what is number two, Sam?
That's a good question, Adrian.
Passing the buck. Number two is making sure that your background is nice and clear. So you don't want to be filming in a place that has a really busy background. Now, we have been able to blur out the background a little bit. If this background wasn't so blurry, it'd probably be a bit too busy and I would be fighting for your attention with the bottles behind us. So make sure your background is nice and clear, or at least appropriate for the subject or content that you're filming. Number three, make sure that it is a nice quiet environment, or that you have the right sound equipment to capture the sound properly. So a lot of videos fall down because the sound is bad, or it's been shot in a location that is really noisy. Now, where inside there's not much noise going on, but we've still got a lavalier microphone to make sure that my voice is the most prominent sound. So if you're out and about, or you're filming a person, stick a lavalier on the subject, or get a shotgun mic to make sure that it's cutting out the extraneous sound. So make sure you have good sound, and that's number three. Number four, and this is quite, you'd say this should be higher on the agenda, but it's something that you can get away with as opposed to the other ones. They're a bit more obvious. So getting your exposure right. This one's a bit easier because your camera can do automatic exposure, and it's something that's much more obvious. So make sure your exposure is good on your subject. If you've got blown out highlights or if the shadows are crushed, check that, but your priority will often be the exposure on the subject. Number five, make sure your subject is in focus. And this is something that is getting trickier with 4K cameras. So you want to make sure that you are in critical focus, and especially if you're going to be cropping in. So right now, this is going to be a test. We're going to crop in closer to me, which is a punishment for everybody, and also a punishment for Sam if I'm not in focus properly. So let's check that out. Okay, so if you are slightly out of focus and you crop in, it's going to be really exaggerated. So be careful that your subject is in critical focus, and also make sure they don't move around in and out of focus, because when people are talking, a lot of them will lean forward and back naturally. So make sure that they are always in focus, and explain to them as well that if they lean forward or back, they're going to have to refocus. Framing is important as well, and that's number six. That was number six, we said number six, yes? Yeah. So framing is number six, and this is important to make sure that you have correct framing, because if you have bad framing, your message isn't getting across, it's distracting, and you're not doing justice to your subject, so make sure that they are correctly framed. Number seven, press record. Make sure that you press record before you tell your subject to start, ask the first question, or film anything, because there's nothing more annoying than getting a perfect shot and realizing that you hadn't been recording. And that's something that we all experienced when we were training.
Yes. I know, but I did actually press it, didn't I?
Yes, you did, I can tell with the tally light. Make sure that there's something obvious, and I will always do this, even if I know I've pressed it, and I know I've been recording for the last, say 10 minutes in a shoot, I will constantly check for that red dot. Make sure that that is still going. So throughout the recording process, even if you know that you've pressed it, check that it is still recording, because your camera might stop. So here are the 7 things that you need to remember before each shoot. And once you've established that and you've pressed record and everything is going well, keep checking those items and keep checking those elements and make sure that they haven't changed or been affected. So make sure your subject is still within the framing, they're still in focus, the sound is still consistently good, and the lighting hasn't changed as well. So keep monitoring these things even after you've pressed record. If you found this video useful and want to hear more stuff like this, like and subscribe. Leave a comment below if you have an idea or want to hear on a certain subject, and also get in touch with us on our social media pages. Catch you later.